Hey book babes, welcome back to my channel. This is Shonda and I'm the original Stack Sister. These are just the books that I think you should read before you travel over to Detroit, Michigan, because that's our first spot. Why Detroit? I know I will get that question. I'm from Detroit, that is home. While I will digress on my love for Coney Island, I will get into these books. So I kind of broke these books up for my own benefit, but also I'm gonna share that with you. So for content, that's where we're gonna start. The first book is Detroit, a biography, and that just covers a lot of the history of Detroit, Michigan. So it talks about the slow growth, the boom of the auto industry, all the way to what people would call the inevitable economic decline. And so it's really cool, right? Like, it's a really good foundational book. If you're just like, oh my God, Detroit, I've never been there before, this would be a good place to start because it'll give you all the context and the history. Book number two. Book number two is Who's Detroit? Politics, Labor, and Race in a Modern American City. That is a lot, and that's why I had to read it. So this book covers a lot of the social movements that have come out of Detroit, Michigan. And so the book covers political, labor, and racial movements that all have come out of the unrest of the 1960s and the 1970s in Detroit. So it's a really good book to think about kind of the more social political impact that Detroit has had. So if you're thinking about books for your book club or for, right, like groups, I don't know. But book number three is The Arc of Justice. The book is really good. It covers, it mainly talks about housing discrimination. Specifically, it talks about the story of Olsen Sweet, a black man who moved his family into a white neighborhood and then wind up shooting somebody who came to their house, like shooting one of the white mob people in the mob who came to his house. And so the book goes through all of that and the trial. This case is actually one of the bigger housing discrimination cases that have come out of Detroit, Michigan. Book number four is The Turner House. It follows 13 siblings that are literally just kind of dealing and grappling with what are they going to do with their childhood home that's on the east side of Detroit. It follows their family in their migration from the Jim Crow South up to Detroit and looks at all of the things that they go through. I think the book also covers really well the assumptions that this family had coming from the Jim Crow South moving up north, right? Like, they had these assumptions. And so the book basically shows them dealing with that switch. Try not to give you the book. Book number five is actually this book. It's Butch Queens Up in Pumps, Gender Performance and Ballroom Culture in Detroit. So I actually love this book. I will never give this book away. I will always keep this book on me because this book is for the culture. Mainly because this book covers the LGBT community in Detroit. So these is black queer folks. And I am standing because, right, like this book told the story of me growing up in high school. And so it covers the house structures. It covers conversations with people about how they deal with their identity living in a very black city. While this book can be a little bit more heavy, I would actually say that it's more of an academic read. It's written by a professor. It's still good. The information is still amazing and it will always have a place in my heart. The bonus book is actually Songs of Solomon. And why? Okay, I know people gonna be like, but, oh, give me a second. Even though Detroit is not explicitly named, it is not explicitly named in the book, I would argue that the industrial Rust Belt kind of bustling city that Toni Morrison talks about in the book is actually definitely Detroit. I would argue that. We can have a conversation in the comments. So thank you for sitting with me and listening about the books that I think you should read before you travel to Detroit, Michigan, because why not have the context and have information or have a lens before you travel somewhere? So yeah, shout out to the city, 313 for life, and I'm out. As always, subscribe and vibe.